Hello and welcome. So, in today's show, we are joined by the Cake Wallet guys to talk about a possible integration with Decred, which should be really, really interesting. Now, behind the scenes, there's been a conscious effort to bring Decred into the wider crypto space. One area that's likely to be a barrier to entry for DCR is the availability on popular mobile wallets and apps. So, we're hoping that this integration is with, or a possible integration with the Cake Wallet could fill that gap, which would be absolutely amazing. Now, Tivra has kind of led this whole thing forward, so I'm just here for the ride. I've never used Cake Wallet, so I apologise for that in advance. But hopefully, Tivra will fill in all the gaps and tell us what's so great about this thing. And I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's absolutely amazing. Um, as it currently stands, Decred is only available, I believe, on two mobile wallets, and that is Trust and Exodus. Both have fairly okay user experiences, but the main wallet for Decred is at the moment is the Decrediton desktop wallet, which is absolutely amazing. So it'd be nice to see if we can actually fill that gap. So we're joined by Justin. We're hoping that Vic Sharma will be with us shortly. He's running a bit late. He's got some other stuff to do, which is a busy man, of course. So let's talk to Justin about what how you introduced to crypto. How's your journey been so far, and where does the Cake Wallet fit into this whole journey?
Sure. So Vic has a different story than me. He'll be able to tell it in a second. But I found cryptocurrency after I already was using Tor and I2P and other decentralized networks. And after I grew up in a household where my dad was running Boink, which is a distributed computing where your CPU or GPU could contribute to citizen science projects. So I was already familiar with the idea of a decentralized network and with mining in a sense, but for a research project. And so I came across Bitcoin, thought it was pretty interesting, and was like, oh, well, people use decentralized networks for privacy, right? And then went down the whole privacy bandwagon from there, found Monero in 2015, contributed to Monero, but also have been involved in other cryptocurrency ecosystems as well. While I was a student at the University of Minnesota, I ran a student cryptocurrency club there. And I also, I'm still technically a moderator of the cryptocurrency subreddit, but I don't really do much day-to-day stuff there anymore. But I definitely helped a lot of their needs in late 2017 and on as the subreddit exploded and cryptocurrency exploded. So I've been in various places, but privacy for cryptocurrency is certainly very dear to my heart. I joined Cake in, what was it, 2020, 2021, 2021, I think. And Cake has been around since before then, but now that Vic's here, I think I'll hand it off to him to give his background with cryptocurrencies and then the background with the start of Cake.
Justin, thank you so much for that introduction. It's great to hear that. I'd never heard of Boink before. That sounds interesting. I'm gonna have to research that one. But great to have you with us, Vic. It's fantastic. We're just doing a little introduction, so if you wouldn't mind taking it away, tell us a little bit about your crypto journey and what the Cake Wallet is to you, I suppose, and how it's progressing.
Sure, sure. First of all, thanks a lot for having us on. Appreciate it. Both Phoenix and Tivra. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Okay, great. Yeah. So, my crypto journey began around 2013. I had heard of Bitcoin. I thought, okay, that's something I got to look into, but finally got into it around 2013 and just doing what everybody else was doing was buying it and, using Coinbase. And I started mining as well. I bought a couple ASIC miners off of eBay and was running them in the basement of our office in one of our office buildings, and that was fun for a while. Then I guess around 2016 or late 2016 or 2017, I thought, all this Bitcoin is great technology, it's amazing, but I got to do something with it. I got to use it. So I got on the dark web, one of the darknet markets, and thought, let me try buying something. And I've told this story many times. I mean, if Monero people listen to this podcast, they'd be like, "Yeah, we've heard this story before," but I think your audience maybe hasn't heard it. So I thought, let me try to buy something, and I tried buying antibiotics. didn't feel like going to the doctor. You know, in the US, you need a prescription for everything. So I thought, let me just try to buy some antibiotics. And as soon as I sent my Bitcoin from my Coinbase account to a darknet address, like within minutes, I got an email from Coinbase saying, you've violated your terms of service or terms of use, and we've disabled your account. So then I started thinking, how the hell do these guys know that, where am I sending Bitcoin? And there's so many Bitcoin addresses. How the heck do they know this one address was related to some darknet thing? So at that point, I started realizing, Bitcoin is not that private, and at the same time, I think the darknet market at that time was Alphabet. That was pretty popular, and I noticed there's this other coin on there called Monero, and I started thinking, why Monero? Why not Ethereum? Why not Litecoin or Bitcoin Cash? I don't even think Bitcoin Cash was there at that time. And started to appreciate the privacy nature of cryptocurrency. I mean, not just Monero, but just in general, and realizing how open Bitcoin was and how transparent it was. And that led me down to another rabbit hole of privacy and cryptocurrency. And in 2017, we started building Cake Wallet, which was aimed and geared towards privacy, private transactions. And we launched in 2018. And since then, we've added Bitcoin, Litecoin, Haven, and hopefully soon Decred, if I'm saying that correctly. Yeah. And that's where we are.
Vic, that's amazing. Thanks so much. I mean, before you came on, I was just saying, where Decred is currently at the moment, trying to kind of get more integration into the wider crypto space. And at the moment, the main barrier to entry is this mobile arena. We've got some pretty fantastic tech in terms of desktop wallets and desktop exchange and a whole bunch of other stuff going on. But anybody that wants to come into Decred and just use it day to day, like you were talking about then, and it becomes a big issue. And I really admire what yourself and Justin and Tivra have been communicating here to try and get Decred onto the project. I think that's going to be absolutely brilliant. Now, like I said in the beginning, I've not used Cake Wallet yet, but Tivra has told me so many wonderful things about it. So from a, and I don't know who wants to take this, if Tivra, from a Decred perspective, someone that's quite active in the community, why is this so important? Why is Cake Wallet so important to pursue for us?
Thank you for the introduction, and nice to meet you, Justin and Vic. Finally, it's nice to meet you. So just a little bit of background also. When I started with BTC, like Vic, around 2013, I also, my first image, I didn't research it really in depth. I thought it was private global internet money. That's what I thought it was. Because just the pseudonymous nature of Bitcoin convinced me that it's anonymous enough. I didn't research it in depth. Then a similar story also related to wanting to use it and finding out that that it's not so anonymous as I thought it was. Then I found Monero later, and later I got interested also in Decred, which to the listeners who are not familiar with Decred, Monero and Decred share a little bit of history together, because one of the devs was instrumental to both projects in the beginning. So I was creating, I first met Vic on one of my spaces, which I created about privacy coins, Monero, and so on. And what strikes me, just to give a really general picture, what I like so much about Cake Wallet, is what I see, the problem I see in crypto right now is you have, let's say, part of the community that is very principled. Everything is about principles and so on, which it's not so prominent as it used to be, but it's still, in some communities, is still strong. And then you have another part of the community, let's say, that is very pragmatic, and is willing to do compromises about principles just so that either that it's useful or that it's good as an investment. But what interests me most in what was the initial promise to me, like what I imagined about crypto, is that it could affect the world. It could really change the world, right? And I don't see that enough. And the reason is maybe there aren't enough things that combine these two, the principles and pragmatics, that you don't compromise on either of the two. And that's what I see with Cake Wallet. I see a project that is simultaneously rooted in principles, which I also believe in, but at the same time, it's very pragmatic. And why I think especially for Decred it can be useful to be on Cake Wallet. Decred is like is a DAO, it's a decentralized organization. So the developers are paid. They submit proposals. So people who own Decred then vote on the proposals, and the developers get paid directly from the block reward if they get voted on by the holders. So I think this is one of the best ways how to get crypto, right? Because like Vic said, like there are problems with getting them on centralized exchanges. And the decentralized exchanges are great and so on, but you cannot do fiat to crypto exchange in that way, right? So, but one of the best ways is mining. That's perfect because it's completely permissionless. Another way is working for crypto and getting paid in crypto. But then what do you do with let's say you develop something for Decred, you get paid, and then what do you do with the Decred, right? So the best way would be to be able to spend it, right? To be able to use it. So I think being on Cake Wallet, I think it's a natural, there is a logic to it. It's a natural development for the credits, great, so that we could, spend what people earn directly. The Crediton is a great wallet, like you said, but it's like a software wallet. Is mostly used people for storing value, for writing invoices and so on. But a mobile wallet that has ability to buy gift cards and so on is it's a perfect match for Decred, I think. And the last thing I wanted to say for now is that it's amazing how approachable the Cake Wallet guys, especially Vic, are. Like you can just talk to them. Like I had a lot of experience approaching various companies or projects about, let's say, collaboration about Decred and other stuff. And, I never had such a good experience as now, like really open and approachable. So I really like this.
Yeah, I listened to your Twitter space when Vic came on, and you said, "Hey, how about an integration with Cake Wallet?" And he's like, "Yeah, no worries." I was like, "Whoa, that is so cool! It's that's a nice approach. I really appreciate that actually." One of the backstories of Decred is we did used to have a mobile wallet, and they actually spent. I mean, this is before I even came to the project, and they actually spent quite a bit of money on developing it. And unfortunately, their last proposal, which I believe was like their fourth proposal, it got rejected. It was too much money. I think they wanted something like 200,000 for a year's worth of work, and in the end they said no, this isn't going to work for us. And the minute that the proposal stops, it vanished. The whole thing stops, and I felt that was a bit of a bad taste in my mouth, because although we didn't want to go forward, there should have been a secondary proposal just to maintain what we already had. And for the people that enjoyed the mobile wallet, and it was on iOS and Android, it was the ideal way to kind of get into Decred and store it. And when that just disappeared, it was like, that's not really on. So it would be really nice to kind of get a really nice mobile app that we can move forward. And one of the things that I quite liked when I was talking to Tivra pre-show is that I believe it's got an exchange built in. I believe Monero is part of that. And one of the things I was personally thinking is it'd be great, and And I know a lot of the Decred community are well up for this. It'd be great to be able to transact between Decred and Monero as seamless as it should be. At the moment, it's quite difficult. I mean, do you have? I don't know, Justin or Vic, you want to take that on, but what would be the experience for Decred initially? Is there kind of a staging process, or is it all kind of once you're on there, you get the whole integration?
Sure. Let me just step up and give a little bit of additional Cake context there. So there's a few key things about Cake that are important to understand. One, it's open source with an MIT license. So all the work that goes into this Cakewall integration is completely reusable by any number of wallets or anyone else or anyone in your community who wants to build upon it from there. It's not just Cakes. You're building something that can be reused, and we've seen other people take Cake's code and run in various directions with their own implementations in the past. So you're not building something that's just for Cake. It really is something for the Decred community that works in Cake, but you could still use somewhere else as well. And it's also non-custodial. So we don't hold your keys, you hold your own keys. And so you get full management of how you actually would interact with Decred. And then one last point I like to raise too is that unlike the vast majority or every other multi-coin wallet I've seen, Cake doesn't throw a particular asset just in an exchange-like list of other assets. It's not like Trust Wallet where Decred is just one coin and Decred needs to fit into the UI that everything else would share. And it makes all the coins really neutered and look the same. You don't really understand why you'd use one over the other because it's an exchange-like interface. You're just buying and selling. With Cake Wallet, what we do is separate each asset into its own completely unique experience, and we'll allow actual additions into the Decred-specific components of the app. So things that are unique to Decred, like perhaps some sort of staking implementation in the future. That's something where we don't need to bicker about how the staking implementation would potentially interfere with the Monero-like interface that doesn't have the staking feature. We can build a Decred-specific component around what makes Decred shine, so it allows us to really build full in-depth integrations around a particular asset, sort of as if you had your own complete, dedicated, unique application for that type of experience. So that's some of the main reasons I think a lot of people like to use Cake Wallet is there's actual character behind the different coins that you're using, and you get to feel that as opposed to it just being a number that shows up next to other numbers. So that's I think some important Cake context there. And one of the benefits of you guys further working to integrate with Cake is that once it's actually integrated, we're interested in maintaining that integration as well because we want to have this continue. So we'll invest ongoing resources from the Cake side and making sure that this doesn't just lapse when you guys have upgrades and stuff. For the Monero network, we have to do upgrades every so often to stay up to date, or else the wallet would be kicked off. So we have to be familiar with this process anyway. So it's very native to us. And then finally, your question on the actual exchange implementation within Cake Wallet. Today, you can create an exchange in Cake between Decred and Monero, but you can't natively store the Decred in Cake Wallet. So you'd have to bring a Decred wallet from somewhere else. Let's say you're using your desktop wallet. You can create the exchange in Cake, but then you need to send the details of where to send the Decred to your other wallet and then send it, and then you'll see the Monero in Cake or vice versa. By having Decred natively supported in Cake Wallet, you can choose your own wallets from the address book that are auto-filled, and you don't need to leave or go anywhere, and it's all in one nice place, and it's really easy for transacting and exchanging in one singular location.
I think we might have lost you that last sentence, Justin. No, did you finish on transaction?
Sorry, there's some lag on my end, so I might have to reload. But
That's right.
it's it allows you to very easily have a comprehensive exchange and transaction experience within the wallet without having to leave, go somewhere else. It handles a lot of the more frustrating user experience aspects just directly, so you don't need to think or worry about them.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Did you have something to add, Vic?
No, I think Justin covered it. I mean, what he was saying earlier about each wallet, and unlike other wallets out there, I don't want to name anybody. There's lots of good wallets out there. In Cake, you're essentially a whole complete wallet within the app, whether it's for Decred or Monero or Litecoin or Bitcoin. Even if you have multiple Decred wallets or multiple Bitcoin wallets or multiple Monero wallets within Cake Wallet, they each operate like totally separate wallets, totally separate apps. And the reason we did that is exactly what Justin explained. It's to give a unique experience for each coin rather than just having the same UI, same features, same everything for each coin. So we realized, I guess we were lucky to realize that early on that each coin has different uses, has different experiences, has different kind of user base that may want it. And then just going back to the exchange, I think the exchange is important because we want people to use Cake as a payment tool. So let's say you're sitting on a bunch of Decred and you want to buy something off of, I don't know, wherever and they only take Bitcoin. So you don't have to worry about, first converting. You can actually just use that exchange and to pay seamlessly in whatever the receiver wants to receive. You can be sitting on, I don't know, Litecoin and paying Doge or whatever, So that I think was important for us. We wanted this wallet to be used, not just something cool you just download and put a bunch of Decred or Litecoin or Monero in there and forget about it. We want you to open it every day. We want you to use it. And hopefully that happens for Decred as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to add, this is really wonderful what Justin and Vic said about each wallet having their own character, let's say, on Cake Wallet. This is the reason why I think, you mentioned before, we once had our own mobile wallet, but, in this sense, I see that, now Cake Wallet can, if this integration happens, right, it can be our mobile wallet. I don't even we need our own separate, because if we can integrate these features like he mentioned, staking or other features that are Decred specific, right, then this can be our main wallet, right? I mean, there is no reason to even have a separate mobile, because Musk these days talks a lot about this everything app and so on, and I'm not sympathetic to it, but I am sympathetic to one thing about that.
Oh, we're putting in social media and Cake Wallet next. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
No, but one thing that I am sympathetic about that is only that having like thousands of applications on your mobile is also not, the idea of having one mobile wallet, if it's good for all my crypto assets, it's attractive to me. It is attractive. If it's, it's non-custodial, it keeps to the principles I care about, and I think Cake Wallet does. So.
Was that other wallet? I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name
Exodus.
correctly. No, you were saying there was another wallet, and which is not there anymore. Was it being built by Rada?
That's right, the Radar Group.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've met that guy a few times. Yeah, nice guy.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably okay. I mean, it was just I thought it was just a bit unfortunate that it just disappeared when the proposal failed after 3 years worth of work. So
I guess no criticism. The community thought was a bit too pricey, I think, right? If I'm not mistaken, the proposal was like 250K, I believe, right? Phoenix, do you remember?
I mean, it started off at 400, but I think it's almost irrelevant. Okay. It's almost irrelevant what the proposal was. The thing that I didn't particularly like, or I didn't, being that I actually used the mobile wallet, was that it disappeared, and there should have been some kind of proposal, even if they put one person on the job just to maintain it, because it's not like Decred has really upgraded that much over the last year or so that it's been gone, and I think that was my main concern. And it wasn't cheap. I think over the 4 years we spent at least, I mean, it's easily over $200,000 to actually build the app and stuff. So Yeah, so it left a little bit of a sour taste, and there was no ifs or buts. We need a mobile wallet, and I completely agree with what Tivra was saying. And I actually think we probably need more mobile wallets, not just one. Just so you have that variety of choice. And I love the fact of what Justin and both Vic said about they are treated as individual wallets rather than just having a single key for every single wallet, which drives me crazy, to be fair. So that I thought that was really, really cool. There was something else I was going to pick up on as well, but I've forgotten what it was.
May I just ask something?
Yeah.
I'm just curious about. I would like a better understanding of what's happening with the Cake Pay mobile. Is it currently working, or because
that's Justin's baby? I'll let him answer that.
Okay.
Oh no. So CakePay Mobile is currently not operational. The party that was running the service decided they no longer wanted to be involved in the cryptocurrency industry anymore. So we're setting up CakePay Web first, which is a similar service. We expect to make an announcement on that either next week or the following. So we are working on that. But mobile will be a little bit longer. We'll have to see what the actual end implementation looks like on web, what the feedback looks like. And
so
then
it's temporary. Let's say it's temporary situation right now with the.
Yeah. It probably won't come back in the exact same form, but we're working on getting that back in the app in as similar of a form as we can make it.
That's great.
But the web version will come on live first.
Yeah.
At least a beta in like Justin said, in 2 to 3 weeks.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay, another question. It's a little bit more technical, if you know, because my friend from the Decred community, Jay-Z, asked me to ask you that, and he's curious if you'd be able to use the existing SPV light wallet of Decred instead of having to use a more centralized backend like Blockbook. Do you maybe know this? I mean, this is a very specific technical question. Otherwise,
it can be built that way.
Okay.
So our discussions on the actual integration so far are from at least their Telegram username is Joe Gruffins. They're the one that reached out to us that really kickstarted this whole thing, making sure that we are even interested in merging an implementation that they'd work on. So things have just started. They have been their first step was build Cake Wallet. Check. They got Cake Wallet built. Then it was learning some of the basics of Flutter, and that's what's going through now because Cake Wallet's built in Flutter. So ultimately, Cake Wallet as a Flutter app can be built so the Decred component can plug into either an SPV-like implementation or more centralized, probably lighter client implementation. Frankly, from our perspective, I would say we are the most willing of most people to have pretty intense client requirements, things that a lot of other wallets would say, oh no, well, we don't want to do that. We're used to running a Monero implementation where you need to sync all of the UTXOs on the end user's side to see what money is theirs. So we're already used to very heavy overheads. And so even heavy overheads for other assets are still light compared to Monero ones. So I would say whatever implementation makes the most sense from a decentralization, privacy, security perspective, we're all ears to and also just what's going to be the easiest to add and what won't take $200,000 of the community's money and then be further kicked down the line.
Right.
Yeah, whatever is the most sensible is what we'll work on. So Joe did mention some stuff about SPV. I'm not sure what his initial goals were. I think that's a discussion he plans to have with the rest of the Decred community to see what makes most sense, and we'll be present to the discussions that are relevant for us to participate in as well.
Great answer. Thank you.
Yeah, amazing. I didn't realize Joe was involved. He's great actually, and our Buy Some Relay app is also built on Flutter, so they've got a little experience with that. That should be okay.
Good.
We've got a question from Matt in the comments, just basically saying, how does Cake handle private keys for security, and what should users be cautious of about this type of hot wallet?
Yeah, Yeah, it's a good question. So if you're using your phone to download all sorts of apps, using it your daily driver to go to a bunch of potentially insecure websites, clicking on random links, going to restaurants and scanning QR codes from tables and things, there's going to be some limitations on what level of security you can offer if you're bringing your phone everywhere. But that said, mobile operating systems are pretty good relative to desktop operating systems at segregating particular app user experiences and then isolating the most sensitive security components into particular parts of the chipset. So both Android and iOS for mobile and also for the Mac OS as well, they have secure storage systems. And so we make use of those in order to store, the private key data as relevant. And then we follow very standard encryption methods for things like creating backup files. If you're taking that backup file and taking it to, moving your information from one phone to the next, for example. So all of the code for that is open source. People can review it and see exactly how Cake Wallet has implemented that type of approach. As it relates to key generation and things like that for how we come up with seeds, we use very, very standard libraries. Like we ultimately probably go the route of just using exactly what Decred uses for its desktop wallets. There's no need to reinvent the wheel on those things. That's what we do with Monero, for example. We use literally the exact same code that's used in Monero's desktop implementations. So that's the general approach there. But one cool feature that we added, it's not the same as having a dedicated hardware wallet, but one thing we did add for a good amount of security for, let's say, more casual users is what we're calling Cake 2FA. And the idea is, people aren't good at coming up with really good, secure, random 4 or 6 digit pins to get into their phone. So for the most sensitive functions of the wallet, for example, sending or viewing your private key or things, we have a TOT implementation where you can, scan the secret key on a different phone and then use that phone to provide the TOTP code for the most sensitive actions. Now, we have a whole write-up about this on our Cake Wallet Guides website. It's just guides.cakewallet.com. And for those of you who are familiar with TOTP, which is your normal login code thing, there's normally a server there that when you start sending them a bunch of bad codes, the server says, now hold on, wait a minute. And we can't really do that because we don't have a server. So it's definitely not as secure as most people talk about for a standard TOTP-like implementation, but a randomly generated 8-digit code is going to be much more secure than any user-picked 4 or 6-digit code. So that's a very practical security improvement people can have without any convoluted signing processes or anything, and it still has the same security that a normal mobile OS is going to segregate the particular secure element components for sensitive actions. But yeah, at the end of the day, if people have the intent of storing money in a place where they're not going to touch it, they don't want to spend it for a while, then I would say don't put it all in Cake Wallet. Use Cake Wallet as your normal spending wallet that you take around, and get a paper wallet or get an old computer, wipe it, put Linux on it, and keep it offline as your primary storage. And I think these two can work hand in hand pretty well.
Mm-hmm. And you guys know that Cake is on Linux now. It's on Mac OS now, so you can do that. You can just set up at your home and leave it disconnected. With that 2FA, just a little story about myself. The 2FA, I go a little step further. I use the YubiKey authenticator. So not only do I need another device which opens up the authenticator, but I need that YubiKey to open up that authenticator. So it's like you have two additional hardware devices you need to open up the Cake Wallet on my phone. So as Justin said, is it safe as a hardware wallet? Of course not, because your private key is definitely in there. It's not separated from your view key, but I feel it's pretty safe. And Justin said I also disagree with the viewer's comment that mobile devices are notoriously insecure, which I think they're more secure than desktop wallets, desktop, computers.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a fair point, and a lot of it does come down to your kind of use of these devices. I think the notorious aspect of mobile phones is probably based more on what people actually put on those mobile phones than the actual devices themselves, maybe. But it's all fair points, and I certainly, as a kind of methodical way of doing it, certainly if you're storing lots of any cryptocurrency, you're probably it's worth thinking of a strategy of not putting everything into one pot. And I certainly agree with Justin and Vic on that. So, and I think your 2FA plus an extra computer idea is pretty secure as well, I should imagine. But there was a few other things here. I mean, we've got Dave Collins in the chat. He just said the best way of doing a lightweight wallet would be with the blockbook type setup. So I'm sure he'll pitch in there. He's fantastic actually. There was some other stuff, but I think you might have covered them. Is it possible to isolate your key with Cake Wallet, like a separate hardware to sign the transactions? Is that a different issue? Is that a different thing? Let me put it up for you.
Yeah, so that is currently not implemented. There's two different potential approaches for us to go down that route. And the hard part is we also want to support Monero with any route we go into, which honestly is pretty challenging, but it can be done. So the two approaches is get the private keys off the device and onto a different phone, and then you have them communicate back and forth. With Monero, it's like 4 rounds of communication you need to do each time you want to spend. But that's one option. And the other option is a more traditional hardware wallet you plug in, and that has the private keys, and then you authorize spends from there. So we're interested in pursuing both, but we don't have support for having a private key on a separate device right now, which means, for those who are very interested in the highest security guarantees, they should only put their spending money on this mobile wallet as opposed to, their offline Linux build that never goes, sits in a closet or something.
Well, I definitely think that you guys have captivated the Decred audience. We've never had this many comments. Normally we get 1 or 2, but we've got Tool Americanas. Like, when Cake Pay is available, where can we spend it, and will it be anonymous?
So I can talk about the last program. It seems like we have a few fans that have heard of Cake Wallet through Cake Pay, which is great. I'm glad people are interested in spending their crypto. And frankly, we feel that that's our real bread and butter, is just focusing on, focus less on the meme trading and more on the transactions that are here to stay. So in the past, Cake Pay Mobile just worked in the United States. The web version also worked in other countries, with a few less features than the mobile version. But what happened is a lot of people to go to merchants they're familiar with, like Chipotle or CVS or even grocery stores, and they could get a gift card of the exact amount they needed at checkout, and then they could just scan the redemption code for the QR code, for the gift card, in order to complete their checkout. So they technically were not spending crypto at the merchant. They were just buying a gift card for the exact amount they needed to immediately spend with that particular merchant, which is about as close as we could get it, without the merchant taking it directly. So that was pretty good. It was very good for privacy because the user for that particular program only needed to provide an email. There were limits. I think the limit was set at like $10,000 or so per day of purchases, but it only took an email to sign up for that particular program. And that's a lot better than the typical exchange onboarding process. And the fees are significantly lower. Instead of paying a transaction fee on top of your trade that you do through a traditional exchange, you instead got a discount of 1 to 3% on the gift card, and you didn't pay the exchange fee. So you really can't. It was really the cheapest way to get out of crypto and into real spend. So we hope to recreate as many of those features when we get this program relaunched. We're doing web first, as mentioned, but it was quite privacy friendly, and that's one of the reasons a lot of our users really enjoyed using that Cake Pay program.
Yeah, and the upcoming web version, which is going to launch first, it's going to have the debit cards. So to answer one of his questions, one of the viewers' questions, with a debit card, you can pretty much use that anywhere. You're not limited to Amazon or Chipotle or whatever. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Both myself and Tiv have been talking to the Desert Lynx, who's mad about using crypto and using these gift cards, and it does intrigue me actually, because obviously it's quite a challenging, if you do want to spend whatever cryptocurrency you've got at the moment, it's quite challenging to kind of do it over the counter. So I like this idea of this midway point where you at the checkout you just buy a gift card and then you just pay for it with the exact amount. Actually, I think that's quite cool. What other
just for context, you're talking about Joel Valenzuela, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, look, ideally, people in the Monero community talk about this all the time, and I'm sure Bitcoin and Decred as well. Ideally, there should be a circular economy where you're just always, you never leave the crypto world. But until that happens, we're trying to provide an outlet so people can use their crypto.
Yeah. I mean, it's debit cards are extremely practical, without a doubt.
Yep. But I'm also on that belief that someday you won't need debit cards.
Yeah. I mean, the only way to really protect ourselves, like a crypto community, is to have circular economy. While we depend on the bridges to fiat, we will always be a little bit at the mercy of the system. Let's say
it's like that Morpheus meme. In the future you won't have to. How do I cash out of Bitcoin in the future? You won't have to.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good meme. That's a good meme.
So moving forward, what other features or what other things are you looking at doing on Cake Wallet going forward?
That's a secret.
Keep it hush.
For the longest time, we wouldn't pre-announce any features. That's kind of changed in the last 6 to 12 months, and it's probably my fault. I get really excited about a feature and I want to talk about it. But what new stuff coming on? I mean, right now we're working on the Cake Pay web. I think that's a big thing. We're adding Ethereum. We're getting Nano, Bitcoin Cash, Decred, hopefully. What else are we doing? As soon as we're looking forward to some decentralized exchanges to launch, which we're heavily involved in. We'd like to integrate those when the time comes. What else we got, Justin?
What else?
Is that not enough?
No, I mean, the biggest thing for us in the immediate future is Ethereum. We announced our beta for that last week, and people who are in our beta program can get Ethereum and custom ERC20 tokens for that now. A lot of people like to have stable coins to convert in and out of, so it's very important for us to support that. And we're still evaluating which L2s to add after that, but we do want to add at least one popular L2 on top of that as well. But yeah, it's further enhancing our Monero wallet. We have a bunch of pending changes we've kind of, I guess, teased it's to various degrees. And there's always other stuff we want to do for each particular asset, like Litecoin. The number of times people tell us to add MWeb and stuff is pretty frequent. So, but it's great to have so many communities that are involved in their particular implementation. And so, yeah, I would say the biggest thing, Ethereum, Cake Pay web in the immediate future, and we have some immediate Monero improvements, and we're actively working on working with Joe on the Decred integration. We're working on Bitcoin Cash, as Vic said. We're working with Nano. One of our developers is building that out, and then he said one other. I don't remember. Oh, we're doing something else as well.
Okay.
I think
Justin mentioned the beta program we have. I hope your viewers and the Decred community joins that beta program, and it gives them a good opportunity to kind of tell us, hey, I like this, I don't like this, change this, change that before we go live. So we want the communities to get involved because in the end, we're building it for them, right? So that's very important to us. We have a Telegram group set up for beta testing, and we love to hear comments and anything, good or bad. We want to hear it.
If you guys
As
want
it
to chuck
relates
up a
to
link,
so
if you guys want to chuck up a link, sorry.
oh, awesome. Yeah, as it relates to Decred, when Joe was talking to us initially about Decred and Cake, one of the first questions I asked was, what features should a Decred wallet support on top of basic sending and receiving? Because we can do the basic send and receiving, and I don't want to blow the scope out of too far out. So we should of course focus on the main stuff first. But from there, let's focus on the things that make Decred special. And so we talked about some things like staking, voting. I know you guys have a mixing privacy feature built on Decred, so of course that would work well with our audience. Or investigating that, and so it's not just having Decred supported in Cake isn't just okay, add it and it's done. We want to continuously build upon it. So we already are throwing about some next ideas. But Joe seemed pretty pragmatic in terms of, well, let's get send receive done first, and then we can go from there. And that's really the right approach to have. So it looks like we'll have a lot to do with Decred in the coming months.
Wow, man, that would be amazing if we could just directly mix from the wallet, use the mixing feature, the staking feature, and even the voting. I mean, that would be wow.
As it relates to the mix, so the one I investigated the most was the mixing process, because we are capable after all.
Right.
Someone mentioned the privacy feature. We want to figure out exactly what it looks like and exactly what the implementation would look like. And so it seems actually from a technical perspective to be very, very simple. So it's actually less of a particular technical hurdle. It's more of a can we / do we want to do this? There's no demand for it question on our end. And the UX is something we'll consider as well, but the particular privacy feature you have has certain characteristics which make it easy on a technical level to add, but a little bit harder actually on a sort of relationship level for us to add. So it's going to be a little interesting. So we'll try to hammer that out for you guys.
Thank you. That's amazing, really, if that was possible. I wasn't even aware. I mean, I started this what do we have here? This conversation, thinking that what will be possible is just sending, receiving, and maybe, but had no idea that even voting would be possible, or mixing and so on. So I'm really pleasantly surprised. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, that's true. And Justin said, as he said, maybe it won't happen on the first day, on the first release, but it's something definitely to build upon.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's just a possibility on the horizon, I'm really excited about that. We never had anything like that on any mobile wallet, not even close. Even on Trezor, we are on Trezor, but it's not possible to stake or anything. For instance, you only can do that on our Decred on wallet. So,
well, I'll say one thing. I mean, our team, we like to do things which other people aren't doing. Even for Monero, when we launched, I really wanted to do things that we were one of the first. Well, I'm not saying we were the first, one of the first wallets, but still I wanted to do things which other wallets aren't doing, like, batching of send transactions, for example. So, I think we're going to apply that same philosophy to Decred or to any other coin. Just take it a step further, push the boundaries, see what we can do that other people aren't doing.
Yeah, I love that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I also can't wait to be able to donate some Decred to Twitter usernames. That's also
yeah. Really... Unfortunately, Twitter has broken that API. So
right.
That feature bird pay doesn't work anymore.
It's because they broken with the API. I see.
Yeah, I don't know if they did it intentionally or just or they don't know what they're doing.
But there are other special address services in Cake.
Yeah, I mean we have unstoppable domains.
That's
We
right.
have open alias. We have FIO.
Right.
We'll
Right.
add ENS. Ethereum naming service. We'll add that as well, which Justin
Mhm.
says it might work already anyway. And for a Twitter type thing, we're looking at other social media. Maybe we can do something with Nostra or
Nostra.
Mastodon. Yeah,
Yeah.
or Mastodon, or what's a new one? Threads, and jokingly I said even LinkedIn, but
That would be
so, so let's see.
amazing.
Yeah, so we're looking at that as well. Get that going again in some way or the other, because it's a fun little feature.
Yeah,
I
it's
think I used it the most. Just giving away Monero and Bitcoin. So
yeah, but it's a fun feature, and it was really good marketing. I really liked it from that perspective as well.
it's great. That's good to know.
Yeah, it's good to very creative. You have very creative ways of thinking at Cake Wallet, I think.
Yeah,
Try to
there's
be.
so much there. I don't know if you saw Dave's comment that I put up on the screen, but basically said if Cake Wallet supports privacy mixing, it's pretty much going to be ahead of all others straight away, instantly. So I thought that was quite a nice comment. But this sounds absolutely amazing, and I'm just trying to get my head around it all, and I can see the community is buzzing with this one. And it's nice to see that already some of our developers have got involved in helping to build the integration. It's nice when two projects actually come together rather than just saying, "Hey, Cake, go and build that." The developers are coming over and they're participating, and it's really the true sense of open source, really, and I love that.
Mhm.
Just before we round up, we're coming almost like 51 minutes or so. Is there anything else that any of you guys would like to add that's pressing on your mind, just to kind of push the point home a little bit?
I don't know. I think we've covered a lot. I know that there's a huge overlap. I don't know if it's huge, but there's definitely an overlap of the Monero community and the Decred community. Um, and over the years, I've gotten, I think even before Justin came on, I've gotten a lot of requests and a lot of Twitter messages or Telegram messages asking for Decred on Cake. And our team's pretty big now, so I think we have even more opportunity now to push this along and to do all these extra features we talked about. So I think it'll be exciting.
Yeah, I mean I'm pretty stoked about it. I rarely install stuff on my phone, but as soon as this is over, I'm going straight over there and having a little look. And I can see from the comments that a couple have already done that. So that's absolutely amazing. Just to get a feel for how it all works and stuff. How about you, Tiv? Anything you want to add?
No, I would just reiterate my point from before, that I think it's such a natural combination, because Decred is, first of all, okay, it's a privacy coin, but it's also a DAO, right? So one of the salient, or let's say central features, is this ability to be paid for contributing code to Decred, and or whatever it is that one is contributing, and the ability for people who are paid to directly use the money. It's really the bridge that is missing right now in Decred, right? I mean, it's a DAO, but then where is the bridge to the real world use? And I really believe that cryptocurrencies should be used. And I think we got a little bit lost, with all the NFT stuff and so on. So I really hope that crypto will go back to its roots of, private digital cash. So that's my hope, and I'm so thrilled about this upcoming integration.
Very good.
I want to give a final, well, at least one clarification on the work here. So with Cakewalt, we're not charging anything either directly or indirectly for the amount of work. So my understanding is Joe is probably going to write his own proposal with the Decred community or something. but none of that is going to have to like be indirectly paid to Cake or something. We're not asking him to add something along as like a review fee or anything. It's you guys are actually going to be doing, he in particular, or his team is going to be doing a lot of this work. And so we're just doing our little part to make sure that we are reviewing it, helping, advising, getting things built and reviewed and making the code high quality. But yeah, this is not something that the Decred community has to pay us for. So hopefully that puts people's mind at rest as well.
Yeah, that's not our business model to, hey, you want to be in Cake, you got to pay for it. No, we don't do that. That's not a thing.
That's great, because there's too much of that in the crypto space. So it's great that.
Yeah. I mean, somebody wants to pay us a donation, we'll take it, but we're not asking for anything. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Honestly, at this point, I think the community is going to throw money at you. So
Yeah.
just looking at the comments, this is exciting stuff, and I think this is a lot of us behind the scenes going, look, come on, we need something mobile. And it's an actual fact, this is probably the best way of doing it, rather than going down the route of home growing it again. Let's do what we keep saying. Let's integrate with other people. So far this year, we've built a bunch of products that the whole purpose is integrating with other things. So we've proposals that have been passed so far. Tivra's got a Vanguard proposal where literally is all about promoting good tech and good decentralized tech, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on as well. But now to actually move away from stuff that we've built and actually go to something that someone else has built is absolutely brilliant. It's shown that the pathway is two ways, and it's absolutely great. And yeah, I couldn't be more impressed with both of you. Actually, it's amazing. There was one question that I missed.
I hope we deliver.
Yeah, I think you guys would be absolutely fine. And I think the collaborative way that Decred works, the supportive structures that are in place, it's going to be absolutely fine. I think. Matt asked, and I missed this. I just picked this up just a minute ago, but he asked, is the built-in exchange based on atomic swaps that settle on chain, or is it instant? Is it custodial? Is it non-custodial?
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay. So as things are today, it is a centralized instant exchange service. So you send your coins to them, and then they'll send you your other coins back. And that includes, Decred and Monero. But that's why so up to this point, things have gone really well in that sense. The instant exchange ecosystem is pretty competitive, and there's a lot of good, honest players there. So there's never been an issue, but at the same time, I understand why people would prefer for that trust to not be involved. So that's why, we've said that we will add the DEX Sarai, which is forthcoming and built around Monero support, because that is important to us. So that type of counterparty risk is not required anymore. So.
Yeah, so those are third party, we don't operate the exchange. Those are third party partners. And we have, if you count all the indirect exchanges, we have probably, 8 exchanges in there. And Cake will find the best rate for you. So you don't have to go through each exchange and see. It'll find the best rate for you. And some people like some exchanges, some people don't like some exchanges, so you can turn them on and off, whichever ones you want to use in Cake. But right now it is third party. You send it to them and you trust them to send it back to you. But so far in 5 years, we've been in business, and I don't think anybody's funds have been held or confiscated that I know of, at least anyway.
That's great to know. Thanks for clarifying that one. Yeah, sorry, Matt, I missed that one earlier, but no, appreciate the feedback on that one. No, I absolutely love what you guys are doing. So
one really tiny point on that as well, because Cake is built for the Monero community. You can turn all of these sorts of features off if you want. So you can actually go into privacy settings, and you can make it so you can't even accidentally click the exchange button if you want, because those are the sorts of things that our users want. So there's absolutely no obligation whatsoever that you use that. You can use whatever other services you want. It just tries to make it pretty easy for people. And our goal for this, upcoming time, once Sarai launches and and Havino or some other decentralized exchanges is to mitigate that counterparty risk as well. So sorry, quick point there that based off of us having a tailored product for the Monero community, get all sorts of options you might not get in other wallets.
Yeah, I think that's, I don't think other people are offering that. I think that's very important. I mean, not only the exchanges you can turn off, but you can turn off fiat pricing. You can add your own node if you want, so you're not using one of our standard nodes. And this all stems from the Monero community because they're very privacy focused, as Justin said. A lot of cool little features. So I always say Cake is easy enough for a newbie. You just open it up and start using. But if you're an advanced user, you can really go deep. And there's hundreds of little switches you can turn off and on.
Oh, that's absolutely amazing. I think you've covered this, but another question from Tool Americano was, what are the transaction fees? Does Cake take any transaction fees for the exchange? But I think you already answered that one.
Yeah, so real quick, it says take fees on each transaction. If you're just sending and receiving Decred or sending and receiving Monero or something, we don't take anything. We don't add an output. We don't have an additional fee or anything. There's absolutely no way we make money if you're just sending and receiving transactions on the blockchain. We don't make any money whatsoever there. If you interact with like a third-party service, Cake Pay Mobile is a good example where you'd get the card at a, let's say, 2% discount when you bought it. Well, we would buy it at a slight discount on top of that and keep some of the difference. So we still would pass along part of that discount, but we'd be monetizing that to some extent as well. So that whenever you're talking to a third-party service, well, not every single time, but some of the times we will work with that partner in order to have some revenue share agreement.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for coming on. It's been absolutely amazing. If we go round and just do a kind of where can we find you bit now. So if we start with Justin, where can we find you? Where are your tags and stuff?
Sure. So I'm at J and then my last name Ehrenhofer on Twitter. I'm SGP magicgrants.org on Matrix. So Matrix and Twitter are probably the easiest way to reach me, especially Matrix. So that's definitely the easiest way. And we encourage everyone to join our Cake Wallet Telegram in order to jump in, say hi, join our beta, and you can always reach us there as well. And my email is justin@cakewallet.com.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Justin. Really appreciate that. How about you, Vic?
I hate Matrix. It always it always lags for me. But yeah, you could probably find me there. But Twitter is probably the best way. So it's my first full name, Vikrant, Vikrant NYC, as in New York City. So Vikrant NYC. And my email is vik@cakewallet.com.
Oh, fantastic. Once again, thank you so much for being here today, guys. Tivra, do you want to sign us out? Say your final bit?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy about how this conversation went. I learned a lot myself that I didn't know. I didn't know about the what's still possible in the future with this collaboration. I mean, this integration. So I'm really looking forward to it. One last thought I had, we also have our own DEX. So who knows, maybe someday in the distant future, even the Decred DEX could be somehow integrated in the mobile. It's purely atomic swap based, and there is no fees at all. And the Decred token doesn't play any role in it, so it's just pure atomic swaps. So who knows? I mean, it's like DEX is it is a little slow to do the transaction. It's not instant because it's atomic swap based, but I think there could be a possibility there also. I mean, there is. It's full of possibility, and I'm really can't wait to actually use Decred on Cake Wallet. Can't wait for that day when I can use it. And thank you so much, Justin and Vic, for coming. Really amazing.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on.
Thanks everyone. Yeah. Cheers. Great discussion. Take care, everyone. Bye now.
Take care.